Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to the Sandwich of Coherency. So, let's just go ahead and jump right into this. As you know, we have been talking about the new Disinformation Governance Board by the Department of Homeland Security. And what does that mean? Well, I think going forward, as I've said before, it is the Department of Propaganda, the Orwellian Ministry of Truth, come to fruition. I mean, that's really the only way you can look at it. You have the government wanting to place itself in charge of what is and isn't disinformation. We're slowly moving towards a path to where wrong think and wrong speak will be illegal. And the government will decide what is wrong think and wrong speak. To think you could end up having Chinese-style authoritarian politics in the United States, especially in our lifetimes, this lifetime. To think that could happen is just unfathomable. But again, this all comes at the tails of Elon Musk buying Twitter. And again, like I've said before, Elon Musk buying Twitter and things like that are really not the importance. The American people have other things they should be worried about, such as the government giving itself the authority to decide what isn't proper information, and to have non-elected people making these decisions. Again, these are people not accountable to the American citizens. And I think the idea, sure, they paraded the one lady who will head the whole thing, I guess apparently out. But you really think that this is something she'll be doing by herself? There'll be many, many people working beneath her. And will you know their names? Do you think these people will be sitting in an office? Do you think they'll probably most likely be working remotely? You think this will probably be outsourced to, I don't know, the Tumblr crowd, the insane Twitterites? Maybe. I could see that happening. They do consider them to be the arbiters of truth. But I want to go ahead and jump into a couple clips that kind of explain where we're going here.
Elon Musk calls himself a free speech absolutist. Well, first of all, that's BS.
Based on his public statements, it's clear he has a very little understanding of the complexities that go into content moderation and hate speech policies and the like.
Elon Musk buying Twitter says a lot about the priorities of people at the highest levels making decisions that could affect the fate of the planet.
On Twitter, it is predominantly straight white men. So when Elon Musk says, wow, this is about free speech, it seems to me that it's about free speech of straight white men. And so let them have it.
If you own all of Twitter or Facebook or what have you, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't even have to be transparent. You could secretly ban one party's candidate or all of its candidates.
Oh man, that's a lot to unpack there. Let's see. Okay. Well, anybody who's been on Twitter knows that Twitter is really not flooded with straight white males. You know, does this lady not understand that there are people around the world that use Twitter? I mean, last time I checked, wasn't the Taliban on Twitter? Or do they count as straight white males too? I mean, maybe she just has, I don't know. It seems a little insane. And as far as Brian Stelter and the gobbledygook coming out of his mouth, did he have that same fervor about it when Bezos was buying up media? Might have to look into that. And as far as Rachel Maddow and that cackling cow, I'm just, okay, so people could be, what? Making decisions that affect the world? You are absolutely correct on that. There's a meme rolling around, but it does make a lot of sense. I mean, the people that sold Twitter could use the money to do the things you want. Or, I mean, I think it's insane. It's crazy. People keep this is what they've done. They've really got people looking at individuals and whatnot that they've thrown in your face and looking at their wealth. And you say, oh my God, he spent $45 billion. He could have done this. He could have done that. He could have saved this. He could have saved that. Meanwhile, the president's trying to pass a $5.8 trillion spending package. And nobody stops to say, well, hey, if we think that $6 billion or $45 billion, this number's going to change, could end world hunger and do this and do that, why don't you campaign for the president to carve out at least $6 billion or $45 billion of that $5.8 trillion spending package for those projects? I think that would make a lot more sense. I mean, if the government's about to spend $5.8 trillion, I mean, they could spare the $6 billion the UN said, or the $45 billion now that everybody on Twitter, or everybody that's upset that Elon Musk bought Twitter. Surely the government could spare the $45 billion to make this amazing world utopian change that you think $6 or $45 billion is going to do. And I say it again because it's important to know, between 2019 and 2021, the Democrats spent $9 trillion. It still didn't end world hunger. The spending for Biden's budget has a long-term cost that they're saying could be $73 trillion over the course of the next 10 years. Do you think that would end world hunger at some point in there? I mean, if you really thought the or you think $45 billion is going to do it, then based on what the federal government has spent over the past 2 years, everybody in the United States should be eating steak and lobster. Hell, we shouldn't even have any homeless people. I mean, California is over 50,000 plus homeless population at this point. Shouldn't exist, right? Right? I mean, if you could do it with just a few billion, then the few trillion that they printed should have fixed all of the world's global ills. But again, we now have the Disinformation Governance Board, which will strive to keep things such as this that I'm telling you from being told to you. Because this doesn't make the administration look good. No, not at all. Think about it. Excuse me. If the lady that they chose to head this disinformation board, if you think about the fact that this is the same person that said the Hunter Biden laptop and a few other things were disinformation, okay? If we understand what her beliefs are based on that, where her mind is and what she thinks because of that, that gives us an idea of where she's at. Would one be hard pressed to believe that moving forward into these midterm elections, that she will say that truthful information about candidates is misinformation? Is it likely that moving into the 2024 elections, that she will do exactly that? Say that these truthful statements that we find out every election cycle about politicians are misinformation. Do not think that for 1 second that that's not going to happen. This will be a serious issue. This, Jen Psaki can say, to scream it to the sky, to the cows come home, that we're just continuing the work of the previous administration. We're just giving credit to the previous administration. No. This is just the work of the previous administration. Please show us where they started a disinformation governance board within the Department of Homeland Security. Sure, they called the media fake news, CNN fake news, and a lot of the leftist media fake news. But I don't recall, and maybe I missed it. Hey, look, it is possible that over the course of 4 years, I missed the part where the White House put together a task force to stifle and silence information it didn't like on the internet. You know, maybe I missed that. For anyone listening, feel free to put in the comments where I missed the Trump administration creating a disinformation governance board, or anything similar or likely in the same wheelhouse as that. Please help me. Maybe I missed it. And people don't understand the serious implications of this. They act like they want it. But let me give you a little example of, just give you an idea of how this can go bad. Now, people keep saying we need to ban hate speech. And the question you have to ask yourself is hate speech subjective or is it objective? What could be considered hate speech to one might not be considered hate speech to another. And when you have laws, you want laws against hate speech. I mean, this is how we're going to end up with laws against spreading misinformation, or basically spreading information that the government tells you is misinformation. And you got to ask yourself, okay, well, we want anti-hate speech laws. Well, who gets to decide what is considered hate speech? Okay? Because, understand, not everybody's on the same playing field. Okay? See, if it's anybody can decide what is hate speech personally to them, then what is hate speech to a tranny is not hate speech, might not be hate speech to a straight black male. Do you get what I'm saying? What if people just say what anybody says to them is hate speech? This guy said hello to me and I consider that hate speech. I mean, I know that's going to the absolute extreme of improbables. Not impossible, but improbable. I know. But the point I'm trying to make is, whom decides what is hate speech? And understand, people think it just extends to the public. If you have bans on hate speech, then, well, going out and saying that the candidate running for president is akin to Hitler or things like that. Okay? That, that could be considered hateful. Would that be hate speech? Or is it only hate speech if the people on the left don't like you? Is that who gets to decide? And again, I ask you, do you think these boards will be bipartisan? I'm getting a little off on the deep end with the hate speech, but I'm just speaking more about this governance disinformation board. Do you think it will be bipartisan? Do you think it will be mostly people from the Democratic Party that have an ideology that they want to push? What if they start saying actual medical information is misinformation? Because we've seen that happen. We have seen that happen over these past couple years. Where we've seen on social media actual medical facilities, actual medical practitioners, actual lab researchers and scientists be banned or silenced because some Yahoo on a keyboard at Twitter or some shit doesn't deem the information truthful. Mind you, the jackass on the laptop with the inflated authority considers himself more of an authority on some medical information than, say, the person that's been practicing it for 20, 30 years. Why? Because what that medical professional said doesn't fit with the ideology that I have. Because that's literally where things are going. We're having information changed and banned based on the personal ideology of the fact checker or whatnot that it's coming across. So long story short, the truth has just become based on emotions. We can't say facts don't care about your feelings because they're not even allowed facts to be in the same room. It's all about who feels the most. And maybe maybe I'm coming off a little harsh about it. But I think that the reality is that this cannot pass. This cannot go forward. And as, Senator Johnson said the other day, he says, Congress shall pass no laws abridging free speech. And as Congress has passed no law, this is unconstitutional. Just because the president signs an executive order does not make it so. We have a guy that is acting like he's an actual dictator. Screw the legislative branch. We're not worried about the judicial branch. It's just about the White House, the executive branch, the potato in charge. And people need to wake up to this. They need to wake up to the fact that this man has basically skirted the Constitution the moment he set foot in the White House. But again, we're going to have to hope this gets shut down. I believe that it will. And we'll just see how this goes. I'm looking forward to the November elections. And I believe that, here coming soon, we're going to see some major changes. And I think the United States will get back on the right track. But we will keep looking forward and keep hoping for the best. But I thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.